if any of you end up with 3 minutes like that on film in a career, congratulations. You know, because mostly you don't. So I show it to you just because, you know, what he says in there is true. He asked for this, he wanted it, he had a tremendous amount of drive, he pushed for it, he got it, you know, and yet you get to this stage where you gotta examine your life no matter what you've accomplished and have you really contributed, you know. It's a real human thing that whatever station you reach or don't reach, there's that stuff, and that's what he captures in here. And I think there's only one way to do this kind of work, the kind of work that you all want to be able to do, and hope that you get an opportunity at some point in your life that either something like that is written for you, or somebody starts the camera and lets you create in a moment as he did. I don't know how much he wrote this, it was written, or whether it was improvised, I don't know that. I'll be interested to find out. I'm attempting to get back into communication with him now because of seeing this. Because I'm just interested to find out, you know, how this happened. And I noticed he's just competing the sequel to Bloodsport, so I think he accomplished something else of kicking his career back into the older, tired version of this, because earlier in this movie he talks about, you know, what it's like to try to kickbox now when he's 47 years old and been beaten up as much as he has and, you know, abused in the way he has. It also explores all of his marital and child custody, it explores all that. Anyway, I want to redefine a word here, first of all, because I use this word and I'm getting tired of having to try to defend it. So you all get to, I'm going to explain to you one defense, and so now whenever I talk about the trick of doing something, I'm not minimizing a technique when I use the word trick, because there are tricks to giving this kind of thing, and that doesn't mean there are secret lazy formulas. I don't mean that by trick. I mean there's a way, there's a method, there's something to know to arrive at extreme performance, and especially extreme personal performance. And here are the tricks. It comes through the use of the stuff that you have identified in the class. What class helps you do is attach names to things that already exist for you. This class, the process that you've all done, has nothing to do with making you unique, special, magnificent, wonderful, any of that. Creation took care of that. What we do in class is facilitate your use of these idiosyncrasies, peculiarities, characteristics that make up this particular little puzzle of you. In class, we go about naming it and finding ways to articulate it. It's why when we go around and do that little thing we do at the beginning and people say things about themselves, sometimes you're just laughing at the cuteness of the phrase. But sometimes you are also laughing, or in some cases, aww, those reactions that you have, because it's the person who's saying that thing about themselves. You know, when Mai says, yeah, I'm a little worried. I worry sometimes, so fucking what? And of course now I'm worried that I said fucking. Not only is that kind of a cute little thing to say about worry, but you look at this woman and you go, I bet she does. I bet she's now worried. Now she's up there worrying about the fact that she picked that one, right? Okay, because it's just a little factor in her. She owns it. She owns that whole thing. She owns the good of worry. She also owns the bad of worry. Yes, she can be too worried and she worries about things before she needs to and she gets preoccupied and all that other stuff. But on the other hand, it's Mai you want to have around in any situation who can take a look and say, here's what we've got to notice here, here's what we've got to plan for, there's nobody better to have around. So she owns the goodness of pre-thinking situations and figuring them out, and she owns the torture of worrying about everything. And She gets to worry about me using her as an example now. All right. Okay. But it's just a little piece of the human experience she owns. Now, we all know what worry is. Some of us do it a little bit more, some of us do it a little bit less. We all know about it. It just happens that of the human behaviors, Mai got a little extra of that. You know, it's something that she can bring to things. It's something she can help us all understand. It is those things which we particularly got that are the keys to giving highly personal and extreme performances. They're not made out of taking some chance or doing something extraordinary that you have to be really talented to do, or a director has to get, or you have to get through some divine inspiration. They are just taking the building blocks that you already have and taking them to the extreme. That's all there is to it. So when you're playing a nice normal character in the commercial that goes, you know, you're going to really love Miracle Whip. You know, I use it myself. It's just another person. Can you make that interesting? Can you personalize it? Of course. And that's mostly what we do as we play normal pose. But when you have this challenge of somebody in extraordinary circumstances, they look a particularly extraordinary way, there is an extreme moment in their life we're capturing, it is really the same process that you use to personalize the more normal things, only done in the extreme. You guys have the benefit of, on the way to developing vocabularies, you created those sheets that we called your intriguing vocabularies. You probably printed them out for yourselves as you did the process. If you didn't, your codes are still good. You can go back into the website. You can make new intriguing lists. And some of you might want to go back and expand them. If you'll remember, those intriguing lists were based on a certain set of neighborhoods that you had. Like one of Mai's neighborhoods is worried, right? She wasn't particularly thrilled that that was one of the things that people had seen in her and that she needed to study it. But she did it. She was a good student. She did it as I asked her. And she developed an intriguing list for that. Okay? Now, one of the places that she can go when she's working with an extreme thing is to that neighborhood or another neighborhood and look in that intriguing list for the extremes and then let herself use those. Now, in sort of development of how this works, I have another email to read to you. This email came from a student of mine in DC. We did our first full workshop in Washington in June, and this young woman was in it. And she wrote this to me. Dear Sam, as an experiment, well, really to test you, because after all, one of my statements was, show me. Okay, good. Now show me again and keep showing me until I'm convinced. I decided to dutifully employ one of your suggestions from the follow-up you did here to see if what you suggested actually works. Rehearsing with my neighborhoods. You know, one passed through from each of my 10 neighborhoods. Well, first I noticed that I knew the lines by the third pass. Even this one 2-page monologue for an off-Broadway show that I traveled to New York to audition for, and that I had to learn between picking it up at my agent's office at 11 a.m. and a 1:30 audition at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. By the way, I got this show and I'm moving to New York. But the real benefit is that of the 21 auditions I've had since I began using your system in April, I have been back for 20 of the roles and booked 4 of them. 2 TV, 1 low-budget movie, and this play. I hope you can see it when you're here in October. At first, I thought it was just luck, but then I began to realize that the neighborhood approach was making me more sure of myself and my lines, and opened up subtleties in my characterizations that I never dreamed possible, and all of these unique to me as well. Tell everybody, Bella Sloan. So I'm telling you, and we're going to take it one step further.